This is Tony D in the Swingin' Soiree. Okay, so you just heard one of the best bass players in the world is Harvie S, and happens to be a good friend of mine, and I'm so happy to have him accompany me on, or vice versa, on All the Things You Are. We'll talk about All the Things You Are, and many musicians talk about that tune because it's almost perhaps the most perfect tune written in the cycle of covering the cycle of fourths. I would teach somebody to play the melody perhaps in two registers, and some sample fingering might be here. And in this spot here, where there's a lot of room, you have a whole football field on that C major 7 chord, you can do some improvisation in there. So we'll have you have room there, and you have room here on the G major chord. And you have the C, it's a C with an F sharp in there, it's a raised fourth chord. Now I look, the schools will teach you to utilize the melodic minor scale. I use the melodic minor scale, but I think of it from the aspect of major. So I would approach this C altered chord as if it was an F major scale with a sharp root. Rather than thinking about minor and altered chords and altered modes, etc. It sounds a little complicated. So if we just take a regular F major scale and don't play the F, and it sounds perfect on that chord. I'm avoiding the F, doing everything but the F. Instead of going here, you see, it resolves. We don't want it to resolve yet. We want it to go there. Now you can use the F as a passing because the actual line creates its own jurisdiction, so to speak. There's the F into the E. Isn't that a cool sound? Right back into the F minor chord. So rather than play modes in every little bar, think about an entire story, the whole tune. So I would suggest perhaps listening to singers like Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett because they stuck to the melody. They didn't improvise the melody. Then later on, when you feel comfortable with the melody, and listen to people like Billie Holiday that did a lot of fantastic things with phrasing and timing, okay, with the melody. But I would stick with Sinatra because he'll teach you how to the original melody. You could play it in this register when you have a piano player, but if you want to play it just guitar and bass, single line, then you can transfer it to this register. And you can blow here. And then now when you hear, we can use octaves. That's a cool sound. Like West Montgomery. And I reach here on the E major 7, and here's that chord. There's that augmented sound, but it's really, think about F major scale with a raised root. You don't hear that too much, huh? That's a cool idea. You learn that from me. You know, when I was a kid, I played, you know, it was back in the 60s. I was studying with Jimmy Rainey and Jim Hall and all the jazz players, but in the 60s, so we'd experiment. We played rock bands, and I was listening to Indian music, you know, the Beatles were out and everything, so we were soaking in everything. So I was very good at playing blues. But I would go study. I wanted to study with one of the original folk blues guys, was Reverend Gary Davis, blind Reverend Gary Davis. And I got on the train and I went into the city, and he lived in in Queens, which is a borough of New York City. in case you're in somewhere in New Mexico, you don't know that. And so I walked through this neighborhood, man. I had the long hair and stuff. And I was walking by, and there's some people on the street and neighbors who go, you going to see the Reverend? I go, yeah, yes I am. I'm going to see the Reverend. I felt so cool, you know. So I go to see Reverend Gary Davis, and I don't know, he taught me something I can't remember now. You know, death don't have no mercy in this land. That was his famous tune. I think that something like that, you know. So he heard me play, and then, you know, because I had all these chops and everything. I'm playing classical guitar and flamenco guitar, and I studied flamenco with Mario Scudero. I'm dropping names, I know that, but it was a Renaissance period. And he said, well, what do you want to study with me for? I said, because you're the man. I said, you're authentic. And he was so honored, and it was such an amazing visit. And after he taught me his tune and his little lick, it's too many years ago now. This is perhaps close to it, we know. So I played it, and he goes, you learned that from me. So I don't know why I told you that. But anyway, so that's the deal. So when you're playing on these chord changes, man, you know, you got F minus 7. Think of a motif. Usually I just start from anywhere. And then you're going to go to B flat minor. You're gonna go to perfect fourth. Above that would be the E flat 7. Then you're gonna end on actually you're gonna end on C major 7. Let's try it again. Here I'm on the C major 7. So that the chords go F minor to B flat minor. It's really the key of A flat, so you can play, I would arpeggiate perhaps for now. Now a trick, I don't like to use that word, but C minor is Dorian to F minor, or Mixolydian to F minor. So you could take, it's the 5 of F minor, in other words, is a minor chord. You could take C minor arpeggio and play it against F minor. It's a cool sound. Instead of playing obvious right on the F minor, which is cool, but it's too obvious. Sounds like you're telling the story right away. Right? Now you go. I'm playing off of E flat 7 flat 9 chord. So it's kind of like I'm using a diminished scale there. So which is obvious to use in that 5 spot. So we have. I went in F minor, B flat minor, E flat 9, or A flat major 7. You want to get from here to here. So we call this the submediant minor, F minor, going into the root or the tonic. This would be the submediant minor. This is the mediant minor would be C minor. We're utilizing the 2 minors. In other words, when you play against A flat major 7, you can think of C minor and think of F minor too. Arpeggiations, dig. A flat major 7, here's a C minor arpeggio. It gives you the 9th sound on A flat. And here's F minor. It's a cool sound. Both of them work. So we have. I played against B flat minor, E flat 7, and then I went right into an arpeggiation on F minor against A flat, the tonic. That's a cool sound. Then it goes to the 4 chord, but you don't have to look at it as a Lydian chord. Just look at it as still part of A flat major, but don't think Lydian really. You want to hear it going to that G7. Because really, D flat major 7 is an offshoot of D minor. It's part of that subdominant area. Really, the subdominant area would go, is F is D minor G7, but the D flat is like a flat Dorian major. See, it's really substituting for the D minor. So we can do this. We can actually do that. So, D major 7. Now you could play off of D minor against the G7. We do that sometimes. We interchange the 2 and the 5 chords. Players like Pat Martino would think of it as minor. He would play D minor on the G7. Joe Pass, on the other hand, would forget about the D minor and play off the G7. It's a matter of taste. It's a matter of whatever your personality tells you to do at the moment. I like to do both and more, whatever comes. I don't like to restrict myself. So let's see. We have the F minor. Now I'm on the C major 7. Now I'm going to go, we're minorizing the C major chord. We're making it C minor, F minor, B flat 7, E flat major 7. So let's see what we got here. C minor. Let's make up a melody. I don't know. I just covered these chords here. C minor, F minor, B flat 7, E flat major 7. We're going to go a fourth above that to the A flat major 7, the tonic, the root of the tune, to a tritone above, which is D7. Now you want to hear that, man, going into G major 7. So I chose a C natural because it goes into the third of the G. It fits like a glove. Before I get to the A minor, I'd like to throw in an imaginary E7 chord, an imaginary 5 chord going into that A minor. So I might play as if the E flat 7 was there, or the E7 was there, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go, I might just put a few notes. I'm right on the A minor now. It kind of gives it a cadence going into the A minor without having to play the E7. Let's see. And while you're here, you're in the G major 7. Then you got to go. So I like to go. See, a little introduction to that A minor. See, that went into the D7. I'm just singing as if it's just natural. I don't have this worked out. And this is the whole modus operandi of this lesson. So you could perhaps sing the lines. Think of the lines as a whole picture rather than one mode going into another. You want to pay attention to the connecting tissue between the chord changes. It's really, really very important. Now, even before the next change, which is like a tonicization, going to E, key of E all of a sudden, right? You know, I might look at it as a D flat 7, or you want to call it a C sharp 7, the same thing, or a G7. You see, here I'm playing off a G7 or some kind of D flat 7 alto, right into the F sharp minor. E major 7 there, right? So we have. So that's really cool. We have on the C minor. And now that chord that I told you about earlier, the C7 altered. Deliberately playing playing it slow. And you can really go to town on that chord, and you can play intervals of sevenths. Things like that. Say, hey man, let's see. Tony said to do this. Let's see if I can harmonize it. Then I can sing a line. You want to get that sound in your head, and you can actually, what you should do is record that sound, record it on a loop or something, and get that sound happening. And then into the F minor. I was playing some ideas on the chord melody type thing, and instead of the E flat 7, I'm voicing it like this and utilizing E diminished in conjunction with the E flat 7 because it's really almost the same thing. It's almost like a E7, E flat 7 flat 9. So we have here's your D flat, another diminished, D diminished. Now when you get to the C major 7, you don't have to hang on C major 7. You could play like a little diatonic jaunt. Just something like that. And then you could play single line, or you can play instead of playing here, you can play I'm going here for the D7, C A diminished here, so we have again on the G major 7, you can play something like that. G major 7. Here you can play some counterpoint. And you could do this. And then you can do or just play single notes, or you can play, let's see, that, and then play single notes at the end. And sometimes with Harvie, I played, instead of going right to the tonic, I went to a half step above. It harmonizes the soprano note, and it's a real cool sound going back into F minor. Why is that? Because A itself is a major third above F, and it has a magical, it's overtonal to F. Because it's overtonal to F, it's also reciprocal. It's a cool sound. So, just a few ideas, and we'll talk about more in lesson 2, and you can always slow this down perhaps, and get the fingerings. I don't like to use strict alternate fingering because I don't think it swings. For example, if you have a F minor, I have three downs. Down, up, down, 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 and then an up. Not necessarily a sweep, because a sweep is like this. I'm not doing that. They're consecutive notes. I'm going with gravity, and we'll talk about that in another lesson, a plectrum lesson. So try that.